In a world where anything is possible, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. Such is the case of Rocker Brocard, a woman who claims to have married a Victorian ghost. Rocker was at a Halloween party when she saw Eduardo standing in the corner. He was handsome, with dark hair and piercing blue eyes. He smiled at her, and she felt a strange connection to him. Eduardo told Rocker that he was from the Victorian era and that he had died in a train accident. He said that he had been watching her for a while and that he was drawn to her. Rocker was intrigued by Eduardo, and she started talking to him more. The more they talked, the more she felt a connection with him. She felt like she had known him her whole life. Eduardo told Rocker that he was a ghost, but she didn't believe him at first. But then he started to do things that only a ghost could do, like walk through walls and disappear into thin air. Rocker was scared at first, but she also felt a sense of excitement. She had never met anyone like Eduardo before, and she was drawn to his mystery. They talked for hours that night, and Rocker felt like she had finally found someone who understood her. She felt like she could be herself around Eduardo, and she didn't have to pretend to be anyone else. When it was time to go, Rocker didn't want to leave. She felt like she was finally home. Rocker and Eduardo fell in love, and they were married on Halloween night the following year. The limitations of a ghost's existence can make it difficult to have a relationship with them. For example, it can be hard to hug or kiss a ghost, or to go on dates with them. The invisibility of ghosts can also be a challenge. It can be hard to feel connected to someone who you can't see, and it can be difficult to introduce them to your friends and family. Additionally, the fact that ghosts are dead can also be a challenge. They may not be able to understand the same things that humans do, and they may not be able to relate to human experiences. But after a year of marriage, Rocker has had enough. She's seeking a divorce and an exorcism. But their marriage was not without its problems. Eduardo was a ghost after all, and he had certain limitations. He couldn't touch Rocker, and he couldn't go out in the sunlight. It was hard at first. I missed being able to touch him, and I hated that he couldn't go out with me. But I loved him, so I made it work. But over time, the problems started to outweigh the good times. Eduardo was becoming more and more possessive, and he was starting to control Rocker's life. He wouldn't let me go out with my friends, and he started dictating what I could and couldn't wear. I felt like I was losing my freedom. Finally, Rocker had enough. She knew she had to get a divorce, but she was afraid of what Eduardo would do. I was terrified. I didn't know what he was capable of, but I knew I had to do something. Rocker reached out to a medium, who helped her contact a priest who could perform an exorcism. The exorcism was performed by a priest who was experienced in dealing with paranormal activity. The priest began by praying over Rocker and asking for God's help. He then began to recite the rite of exorcism, which is a series of prayers and commands that are used to drive out demons. During the exorcism, Rocker experienced a range of emotions. She felt scared, angry, and confused. She also felt a sense of relief, as if the weight of Eduardo's possession was finally being lifted from her. The exorcism lasted for several hours, and it was a very emotional experience for Rocker. But in the end, it was successful, and Eduardo was finally gone. Here are some of the things that happened during the exorcism. Rocker felt a presence in the room that she didn't recognize. She heard voices that she didn't recognize. She felt physical sensations, such as being pushed or pulled. She had visions of Eduardo. The priest said that these were all signs that Eduardo was still present in Rocker's life. He said that the exorcism was necessary to free Rocker from his possession. The exorcism was a very difficult experience for Rocker, but she said that it was worth it. She said that she finally felt free from Eduardo's control and that she was able to start living her life again. The exorcism was the most terrifying experience of my life, but it was also the most liberating. After the exorcism, Eduardo was gone. Rocker was finally free. I'm so glad I got a divorce. I'm finally free to live my life the way I want to. Rocker's story is a reminder that even the most unlikely relationships can have a dark side, but it's also a story of hope. Rocker found the strength to break free from her abuser, and she's now living her life on her own terms. If you're in an abusive relationship, please know that you're not alone. There is help available. You can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline in your country. What do they think about Rocker's story? Do you believe in ghosts and that ghosts can be exorcised? Please let us have your comments. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more captivating content. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video.